What do CEOs need to know about sales these days? A lot. Outdated sales strategies and tactics plague most companies today. Listen to what innovative CEOs and experts have to say about how to change all that with Sales Talk for CEOs. Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs, another show where you just get me, no guest. Here today to just talk about something that I think is really important to CEOs. And I think sometimes as CEOs, we get so busy in our lives and so, I'm going to even just use the word overwhelmed with everything that needs to be done. And even if we're staying calm and cool about it, there's always a lot. And I find that many of the CEOs that I talk to are really struggling with their teams. They have players on their team that just aren't cutting it. They complain about them to me. And I think when I, see them interacting with them, that player, that person can tell, right? That they're not really making the CEO happy. Now, I work with mostly smaller companies. They're under 100 million. They're not huge. They have, 20 to 50 people. Most of them are in technology. So there's not manufacturing and lots of people involved with that or anything. It's mostly just, the operations department, the sales and marketing and customer success that are moving the company forward. And the leaders of all of those teams report directly to the CEO. But these CEOs are struggling because they don't have A players on their team. And they keep trying to make people who aren't A players into A players, or trying to make people who aren't very good at some things be good at them. And it is frustrating for everyone. In fact, it's so frustrating. I wrote a rant about it on LinkedIn the other day. And I just want to say to you, as a CEO, you do not need to struggle. You do not need to struggle with anything because there are people who will help you, number one, and they're all around you. But number two, you don't need to struggle with the people who work for you. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. And it isn't good for the rest of the company because believe me, they can see it. They know. So what I want you to do right now is just imagine as the CEO that every person who directly reports to you, every one of your direct reports is an A player. They are absolutely delightful to work with. They get you. They get your vision. They believe what you believe. And they are 100% on board to make your company grow. Now, just sit with that for a second. Just breathe it in. You have a team of A players who are delightful to work with, who are really good at what they do, and they know what they're not so good at, so they don't try to do those things. They work together as a team, and they together help your company continuously improve and grow. What would your world be like if that was your team? You can have that. And you can stop being frustrated and struggling, especially with your sales and marketing leaders. This is just a struggle I see every single day. Part of the struggle is you, right? Part of the struggle is you because you allow them to continue doing whatever it is they're doing. You allow them in their role, right, to do things they're not very good at. You put up with having less than A players. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and fire everybody that works for you. That would be ridiculous. but your company can't grow. Your sales won't soar unless you have a team around you that you feel completely confident in, that these people have got your back, that they can do their job, that they know when to say, I need help. Super important. You do not want people around you who try to do everything themselves and not ask for help. That makes for an impossible situation. And we've got to stop wishing and hoping that people would be good at things that they're just not good at. You yourself, as the CEO, need to clearly know what you're good at and what you're not. And you need to spend your time doing only the things you are best at. I call that your genius zone, right? The world feels great when we're working in our genius zone, when we're doing the things that we're good at and that we love and that make an impact and that change lives. So that's where we need to work. Now, yes, there's other things that need to be done. And sometimes we have to do things that we're good at, but are not necessarily in our genius zone. But everything else needs to be delegated to a person who is good at that type of thing. And there are people who are good at every different type of thing in the world. So you can find people who are good at the things that you are not good at. And for each of your direct reports, you need to understand their strengths and their superpowers. And if they don't understand their own strengths and superpowers, you need to either do a workshop with them or bring someone in to do a workshop. And you need to clearly identify for each person, what are their strengths? What are their superpowers? What are they really good at? And what should they spend their time doing? And then stop asking them to do things they're not good at. It is so frustrating for everyone. And the worst problem is that people will try to do things that they're not good at to please you because you're the CEO. So when we know what we're good at personally, and we can model the behavior of, I do what I'm best at every day because I love it and I do it well, and it makes the whole company better because I do that, right? And you model that, and then you expect that of your direct reports. Know what you're good at and do that. And let's figure out how to get someone else to do things you're not good at rather than having you do them poorly and everybody being frustrated. It's just really not fair to anyone, and it doesn't make your company grow faster. That's for sure. It holds everybody back. So if you took a look at the structure right now that you have in your company and the people who report directly to you, what's the first thing that you would need to do? What's the thing that would have the biggest impact to your company and the biggest impact on sales, because it would have the biggest impact on your customers and making it easier for your customers to buy from you? What would that be? So you will have to take a look at each of these direct reports and ask yourself, what do they do well? What are they best at? And are they doing that? It's sort of like, the old get the right person in the right seat. That's what we're thinking about. But you got to do it for yourself first. And then you need to talk to your team and say, I'm really good at these things and I'm not so good at these things. So I'm going to stop doing them. I'm going to find someone who's really good at these things that I'm not good at. And I'm not going to do them anymore because it's frustrating all of us. And then I'm going to work with all of you to do the same. And that may even mean moving some players around, right? Because they're really good at some things, and the position you've put them in is having them do things they're not really good at. And it also means that some people will eventually have to go, but it should be a self-selection process because they recognize that, right? These are not my strengths, and I want to work in my area of strength, and maybe that isn't available at this particular company. So I'm going to move on to my next adventure. But there really just isn't any use in struggling. It is not moving your company forward. It is not helping you increase sales. It is not making it easier for your customers to buy from you. Your internal team matters so much, right? Because that customer experience, that exceptionally great customer experience we want our customers to have, can only be delivered by the people who work for you. And it's only as good as the people who work for you. And if they are frustrated, unhappy, not working in their genius zone, not doing what they're best at every day, the customer experience will suffer. And that means that your sales are going to suffer because retention will be difficult and growth in those existing customers will be difficult. And you won't have a lot of referrals from them either. And word on the street, that's not going to help people who've never bought from you before want to buy from you if there's lots of talk on the street about what's not working at your company and about problems that don't get fixed and calls that go unanswered. So it really all comes back to you. Once again, as the CEO, what can you do to make sure you are working in your genius zone, that you are doing only the things that you are best at to lift up your company, and that your senior team of A players are all working in their areas of strength? They're supporting you, they're supporting the company. They've got your back. They believe what you believe, and you work together well. That doesn't mean there's never any conflict. Conflict is good and it's healthy. You need conflict. You need to discuss ideas and you need to figure things out, right? And dig in and not be afraid to do that. But you do it in a way that preserves everybody's dignity and allows everybody to say their piece and allows everybody to feel comfortable sharing a new idea. Yeah, that's the way it works, right? And then as CEO, you are so supported that your company can grow and thrive in any marketplace. So think about it. What can you do if you're struggling, or maybe it doesn't even feel like a struggle, it's just frustrating or uncomfortable? What can you do to make your own life better and easier and make it easier to run your company by simply just looking at the people around you and looking at yourself to see that you are each working in your area of strength and that you stop expecting people to be good at things they're just never going to be good at? Frustrating for everybody. Don't want to go there. So, what are you going to do? How can you make some changes at your company to make sure your company can thrive and grow in any economy? If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.